All right, next video. So I told you I was going to talk to y'all. So I told y'all in this video, I'm going to start bringing everything together so that way we can move on to the next piece. So basically, I'm bringing the whole process of launching a e-commerce business, all the different steps that I've talked about in other videos, just kind of summarizing them quickly, and then we'll move on and start talking about email marketing. And you'll understand why I'm doing this way too. So, my name is Tyron Spear, and I made about $2.4 million in e-commerce. I was in the Marine Corps, Blackwater Security Group, and then I started on Amazon, and then now I'm on Shopify, driving traffic to my e-commerce store using Facebook and YouTube. All right, so the reason why I'm laying out this process this way of telling you about figuring out what your product is, then once you figured out what your product is, then figuring out how that problem serves or solves a pain point in the marketplace, how to do the market research. I told you how to find, and I told you finally how to find a manufacturer. Even before that piece, so how to find a manufacturer, figuring out what the minimum order quantity is, talking to the manufacturer, even after you've done your research and asking them what products really sell and what products are hot. So I've given you all that information, and I've also talked to you about why you need to sell multiple products, or how to take that one product and then turn it into multiple products. So I talked about that as well. And then I talked about how to, and then lastly I talked about we got into some of the numbers you need to consider doing the whole why you should take one product and turn it into three. We talked about why that is, and having great margins in your product. Try to have 30% or better margins in your product. We talked about that too. Then we talked about how to stir the marketplace up, just like Kanye West is doing with this whole Jesus is King album that he's releasing now. So we talked about that. So now that we have all these things in effect, and then we talked about spending money anywhere between $350 and doing a whole lot of research, or $4,000, and making sure that the copywriter that you're working with is well informed about the problems that are happening in your market and how to do that research up front. So those are pretty much the steps, and that's the order. And the last thing you see I talked about after doing all of those things was going out and buying inventory. A lot of times when I'm talking to people, they've already bought all this inventory and they don't even know if it's going to sell. And that's scary, because there's a bunch of stuff out there for you to buy, but whether or not you can actually move it, whether or not you can create the systems and processes, or whether or not you can create the messaging, whether or not you have the budget to actually move it, those are two totally different things. So just because you went out and bought a whole bunch of inventory on something, that doesn't mean that if you pay somebody like me for consulting, or even if you pay somebody else, once we do the research and see what the market needs are, the market is going to decide. Remember what I told you, the market is people. People are going to let you know, I don't want that. I don't even know, they're looking at you like, I don't know, Mr. E-commerce, why you went out and bought that, because I don't even want that, right? So it's important that you do these things up front first and have a solid idea of whether or not there's a demand for this particular product that you're bringing to market. Is this something that they really want? If it's I'm just throwing this in there because I have a local business as well. Also, you hear people talk about location. The reason why that's important is, if it's not something that you're just going to be, if you just don't need a fixed space, like I'm up over here, my location doesn't matter because I'm obviously selling my products online. I just pulled it to my office. But in here, I just had people packaging and shipping up, and I just left the bank to pay payroll. So, but they're just packaging the stuff up. The post office comes by, picks up our stuff, and then boom, it goes out. So it doesn't matter that there's no walking traffic. It doesn't matter that I'm nowhere near my customer, because I don't have to, because I'm selling online. But that's why location matters, because where you're located at, if your physical business needs people to walk through and buy it, then that problem that location that you're at needs to be where the problem is that you're trying to solve. So that's why location is such a big thing. Not so much that you're just on a corner or whatever, because once you put your marketing out and people know that you are there in the area, you don't necessarily have to be, where people can walk by and get to you or whatever. Because if you're solving a major pain point and your messaging is great and it's spot on and your service is spot on, people will form lines for you, and they will line up to buy your product. They will line up to experience your service, and that's just what it is. All right, so make sure you do all these things in the order that I've given to you, and I've literally put these videos out in that order as well, so that way as you're watching them, okay, I shouldn't go buy inventory first. I need to do these things first, because this research that you're doing is not just for you. It's going to be for your media buyers. We haven't even talked about that yet. Running ads on Facebook and that whole mindset. We haven't talked about that. But your media buyer, the person that's running your ads on Facebook or YouTube or whoever's creating your content, they're going to need this stuff. The copywriter, they're going to need this stuff. The person that's designing your website, he or she is going to need this stuff, right? All of these people are going to need this. All the people are going to need this stuff. And if you keep raising your hand saying, I don't know, I'm not saying that, because money is the ultimate. Money takes care of everything in this world. But they say a fool and his money shall soon part ways. So I actually got to wrap this video up early, because I got to run in here and then I got to go take care of some other stuff. But email marketing. So now that you have all of these things in place, now that you have these things in place, and I'm just piggybacking off of the content. What you want to do is, actually, I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna come back.